Being chosen isn't romantic. It's painful. It's lonely. And yes, it often means walking away from what's familiar so you can finally walk into what's destined. The calling on your life might require discipline your family never taught you. It might require beliefs they mock. It might require a version of you they don't recognize, and because they don't understand it, they'll try to talk you out of it. Not because they hate you, but because they don't want to lose the you they're comfortable with. But comfort is a prison if it changes your potential. The calling will make you uncomfortable even to your own blood. That's the harsh reality most people don't talk about when they romanticize the idea of being chosen. It sounds powerful, it sounds divine, but the real experience, it's raw, it's painful. And one of the most jarring truths is this: when you finally decide to answer the calling inside you, your biggest resistance may not come from the world, it may come from your own family. It's not that they don't love you, it's that they built a version of you in their minds that fits their comfort zone. And once you start changing, once you start evolving, growing, thinking differently, setting boundaries, raising your standards, they start to feel unsafe, not because of who you become, but because of who they're afraid of losing. And that fear, that's what causes the friction. That's what causes the cold comments, the sarcastic remarks, the subtle guilt trips. They say you've changed. And when people can't place you, they often try to pull you back to where they could. But chosen ones, true chosen ones, don't apologize for the evolution. They grieve the distance, yes. They feel the pain of not being understood, but they keep walking because they know that calling isn't a suggestion, it's a soul contract. And if you betray that calling just to keep family comfortable, you'll carry a quiet bitterness inside you for the rest of your life. So no, you're not wrong for feeling the distance. You're not cold-hearted for needing space. You're not selfish for choosing alignment over approval. You're simply becoming, and becoming requires letting go. Sometimes the deepest loyalty you can have to your family is to become everything they never had the courage to be, because in your breakthrough, you show them what's possible. But that journey, it begins with courage. And it often begins alone. Love doesn't always mean alignment. That's one of the most difficult truths the chosen ones have to accept. We grow up believing that if someone loves us, they'll support us, encourage us, believe in us. But what happens when the very people who say they love us are the ones who question our dreams the most? What happens when their love becomes a cage instead of wings? The chosen ones often find themselves in this exact space. You've got a vision, a fire in your gut, something you can't shake, but when you speak it out loud, you're met with confusion, doubt, even mockery. And it hurts because it's not coming from enemies or strangers. It's coming from people you've trusted your whole life. You start to wonder, am I crazy? Am I being too ambitious? Should I just settle? You begin to doubt your own inner compass, not because it's faulty, but because the people around you are too afraid to let you leave the map. They fear losing access to you. They fear what it means if you actually succeed. Because if you do, they'll have to confront why they didn't. And that's where the sabotage begins, not always intentional, not always cruel, but always effective. The subtle criticisms, the just be realistic comments, the stories they tell others about how you've changed. These aren't just words, they're coded attempts to make you doubt yourself, to shrink back into the role that made them feel secure. But chosen ones must understand this. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself just to keep the peace. If your light makes others uncomfortable, that's not your burden to carry. You can love your family and still outgrow them. You can honor them and still choose a path they don't understand. The lie is that love must always mean closeness, But the truth is, real love doesn't require you to abandon your purpose. These little comments might seem small to others, but to someone who's trying to walk a path that no one else in the family has walked, they cut deep. Because the sabotage doesn't attack your actions, it attacks your identity. You start to feel like a stranger in your own bloodline. The things that excite you no longer excite them. The books you read, the way you speak, the energy you carry, it all starts to clash with the rhythm of their world. And that clash creates friction, tension, and eventually pressure. Pressure to shrink, to slow down, to be normal. And for many chosen ones, that pressure feels unbearable because you're not just trying to grow, you're trying to survive in a space that keeps telling you, don't go too far. But here's what's happening beneath the surface. Your transformation is revealing their stagnation. Your courage reminds them of their fear. Your evolution shines a light on everything they've suppressed. And instead of facing it, instead of healing it, they try to put that weight on you. That's where the emotional sabotage begins to form when they start using guilt as a leash. You never spend time with us anymore. You think you're too good for your roots. Don't forget where you came from. But those aren't reminders of love. They're reminders to stay small. The truth is, the chosen one is not here to maintain the emotional comfort of the past. You're here to disrupt patterns, to break generational cycles, to confront dysfunction, even if it means becoming the villain in a story that needs rewriting. And that takes bravery, because emotional sabotage isn't just painful, it's confusing. It makes you question your worth. It makes you want to go back just for the comfort of being accepted again. But the chosen ones, they can't go back. They know too much. They've seen too much. And while love remains, the boundary must be drawn. Because when emotional sabotage is tolerated, purpose is postponed. And if you delay your destiny long enough to make others comfortable, you'll look back with regret, not pride. So yes, protect your peace. Set the boundary. Walk away if you must. You weren't chosen to be liked, you were chosen to lead. Purpose doesn't show up when everything is easy and everyone supports you. It often arrives during your quietest, most isolated moments, the nights when you feel misunderstood, unseen, and alone. That's because elevation always requires separation. You cannot take off if you're still tangled in the comfort of the crowd, and that includes your family. The chosen ones don't grow in community first. They grow in isolation, in solitude, in silence. There's something sacred about being pulled away from what you once called home. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're being prepared for something they're not assigned to carry. And that preparation demands clarity, discipline, vision, and deep inner healing things that often can't happen when you're surrounded by people who need you to stay the same. When you're constantly trying to fit in, please explain yourself or keep others comfortable, you dilute the very part of you that needs to get stronger. And that's where many chosen ones get stuck, trying to evolve in environments that are designed to keep them emotionally safe, but spiritually stagnant. To elevate, you have to embrace the silence, the loneliness, the discomfort, because that space is where you meet yourself fully, no distractions, no applause, no validation. Just you, your doubts, your fire, and your calling. In that place, you learn what you're really made of. You realize that you don't need to be understood by everyone. You realize that approval was never your fuel. It was your chain. And when you finally break free from that need, your purpose starts to rise with power. But make no mistake, this part of the journey is hard. You'll miss birthdays. You'll miss family dinners. You'll watch from a distance while they laugh and live and move on without you. And a part of you will wonder, is it worth it? And the answer is yes. Because what you're building in isolation is not just for you. It's for them too. They just can't see it yet. They don't understand that the version of you they knew was never the final one. That version had to go quiet, had to go deep, had to disappear for a while. The seed has to go underground before it breaks through the soil. And while it's buried, no one claps. No one cheers. No one believes. But when it finally emerges, it carries the strength of everything it endured in the dark. So don't run from the distance. Don't fear the silence. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's where you shed the people pleaser, the self-doubter, the old identity that was created by the expectations of others. It's where the chosen one is forged. And when you emerge, you won't need validation. You'll walk in power. You'll lead with certainty. You'll carry purpose like armor. But first, you must walk through the isolation. Alone, yes, but never abandoned. Because every step you take in that silence brings you closer to the life you were born to lead. You're not abandoning them. You're answering a call that demands more of you than they've ever seen. And that's a hard truth for people who need you to stay in the role they assign to you. But here's the beauty. You don't stay gone. You come back, not to fit in again, but to lead, to elevate, to heal. You come back with clarity, wisdom, and strength that can actually shift the atmosphere around you. You return not as the one who needed permission, but as the one who gives others the courage to rise. That's what the chosen ones are really here for. Not just to break cycles, but to return and rewrite legacies. The key is this: you don't return until you're rooted in who you've become. If you go back too early while you're still unsure, still fragile, still needing approval, they'll pull you right back into your old identity. You'll shrink again. You'll doubt again. That's why the distance is necessary. It's not about proving anything. It's about protecting your transformation until it's unshakable. So no, you're not walking away because you don't care. You're walking away because you do. Because you refuse to pass down a version of life that doesn't honor the fullness of who you are. You're creating space to grow, to heal, and to prepare. And when the time is right, you'll return. But not as the same person they once knew. You'll return as the person you were always meant to be. That's the power of chosen ones. We may leave the room, but we never leave the mission. And so, if you are the chosen one, if something in your soul knows you were born to shift the atmosphere, to break patterns, to build what's never been built before, then hear this clearly. You are not crazy. You are called. You are not abandoning your family by stepping away. You are becoming the version of yourself that they need but may not yet recognize. And that calling, it will cost you comfort. It will stretch your heart. It will require you to walk alone. But it will never leave you empty. Because in your obedience, you don't just change your life, you change the story for everyone after you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them wrestle with your silence, your distance, your decisions. That is not your burden to carry. Your burden is to stay faithful to the fire inside you. Your mission is to protect your evolution until it becomes undeniable. And when the time comes, you won't return seeking validation. You'll return carrying vision, healing, and truth. You'll return with the authority of someone who paid the price to become free. Remember, chosen ones don't run from the pain. They transform through it. They don't shrink for approval. They rise for purpose. So rise. Even if it means walking alone, even if the world doesn't clap, Because one day your courage to walk away may be the exact reason someone else finds the strength to rise too. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to lead out. And sometimes to lead, you have to leave first.